Good evening and welcome to the Psychic Coffee Shop. I'm Aeson Knight, and of course I'm with Techie with Moses, Techie Joe. How are you, darling?
I'm doing well. How are you this evening?
Doing well, doing well. Let's pop that through. All right. Other than Anna, Anna doesn't want me to use my mouse or any commands tonight. She just wants my hand right on her head. Can we install a mouse in her skull, I don't know, one of the ones that has the ball in it?
Maybe.
So if I pat her one way, the screw goes one, the mouse goes the other, or pat her the other way, it goes the other.
I mean, a little Velcro, you could probably make it
work. Okay. Hello, Miss Brenda. How are you? All right, guys. There's a lot of follow-up stories. There's a few fun stories that we're going for. Let's start out with J.P. Morgan.
All right. So
JP up to now.
All right. So J.P. Morgan Chase is suing customers over infinite money glitch ATM scam. So J.P. Morgan Chase has begun filing lawsuits against customers who took advantage of an, quote, infinite money glitch, end quote, this summer, a technical issue with the bank's ATMs that allowed people to deposit bogus checks and withdraw the money from their accounts. The trend shot across social media with TikTok users broadcasting how to deposit the fraudulent checks and walk away with huge sums of cash. The bank, which is the largest U.S. financial institution, has so far filed 4 suits, 2 against individuals and 2 against businesses. These have been in Los Angeles, Houston, and Miami. Fraud is a crime that impacts everyone and undermines trust in the banking system, Chase spokesperson Drew Pasateri said in a statement. We're pursuing these cases and actively cooperating with law enforcement to make sure if someone is committing fraud against Chase and its customers, they're held accountable. So the largest suit so far, a masked man deposited a fraudulent $335,000 check into a defendant's bank account at an ATM. The man allegedly then withdrew most of the cash before the bank had realized it was counterfeit. The bank said it is owed back a sum of $290,939.47. Chase prides itself on its efforts to protect its customers against fraudsters, particularly in an environment where bank and wire fraud are increasingly more commonplace, the bank said in its filing. While fraud methods have evolved over time, the core intent to exploit and deceive remains unchanged, it said. Again, going back, because we have covered a little bit of this one. So the infinite money glitch, I still hate the way they keep describing this.
Right.
Because the fundamental issue was essentially writing a check to yourself and depositing it to your own account, in which you theoretically could just keep doing it over and over and over again. The real actual issue was that during this time period there was a glitch.
Right.
Independent
of it.
That's just a scam. So they're independently of it.
You're still frozen, honey.
It's just a scam.
Yeah, it's just a scam.
Yeah, it's just a scam, but because independently of that, what was happening was there was a glitch with the ATM that was not withholding, what was not doing the step down,
right,
from you deposit any large check, and most banks will limit how much of that you can withdraw at any one moment, until that check has had time to clear. And so it'll release, say 25% of funds, and then 50% of funds, 75% of funds, and then the total. Unfortunately, during this period, they were working on their ATMs, and that was not being enforced.
Well, What I don't get is I thought the max you could withdraw at any time from an ATM is $250.
No.
What?
Short answer, no.
Wow.
Now, there are banks that have chosen to enforce daily spending limits, daily withdrawal limits, and other certain limits on your transactions because they're connected to fraud. I don't think I don't remember J.P. Morgan Chase necessarily being one of the banks that did this or that was still doing. I think they're pretty wide open. Your money is your money is your money. And if you want to deposit, your great big giant lottery check and it has cleared, and you want to withdraw it, then your only limitation is can the ATM do it?
Okay, so our ATMs must not carry that much money.
It can be it can be an issue of the bank itself and the spending limit on the card, and the withdrawal limit on the card. It can be your bank's ATM and its limitations, and how often they expect to service the machine, so how much they limit per transaction, and especially in some instances they may only apply this to certain ATMs based on neighborhood and location to discourage people from encountering crime. But now what you can also encounter is that there are sometimes limits imposed when you're using a different bank's ATM.
Okay.
Is that for non-customers of the bank, you may encounter limits.
Okay. Because I know we hit limits all the time. Like we can only withdraw, I think it is 250. Yeah, because we used to have to do 2 ATM transactions when we paid car payments in cash.
Okay. No, I mean, well, but again, it depends upon what ATM you were using. But yes, our bank does have limits. And I think they're even, and that may not apply to our specific account type. I know, like my dad's account, he could set very specific limits with the bank.
Oh, cool.
Like he couldn't exceed their limitations, but he could also, and he did, severely limit what could be done with his card. So like I think Dad's daily withdrawal limit was like $100. Because quite frankly, he couldn't imagine many situations where he needed more than $100 in cash and didn't plan to write a check.
Right.
So he had that limit on his card, but his spending, he could effectively go run it for whatever the hell he wanted to.
Wow.
As long as it didn't exceed some banking limit. Which generally, as long as you have an available balance, I don't think I would have to double check. It's not like we run into it often.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's not often that you have that you're, for most people,
right,
gonna be going out and trying to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Right.
Usually those limits are pretty liberal. The last time I actually had a massive issue with it, and this has been like 20 years, was North Carolina State Employees Credit Union. Was my bank at the time, and the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. And let me tell you, the nightmare of getting a check from my father that I had to deposit and then try to go pay my, enrollment, tuition, and fees. And having to remember to call the bank first to release the limit and then hope they actually did it correctly. So I could stand in a giant line on the last day possible, because it always worked out that way because they didn't give you a big window.
Right.
To go in and make that payment just to have the card decline.
Mm-hmm.
At which point, the very kind, not, but the very kind, forget what the name of that is. I keep wanting to say everything but it. Anyway, the payments office.
Right.
Would require you to exit the line.
Right.
And so so there I am having to step out, try to call the bank, figure out what went wrong, what happened this time. Did you not release the funds yet? Did you not, like, what's wrong?
Right.
And trying to go through this hassle every flipping time.
Right.
Something happened. I never once walked through, like, got in that line,
Mm-hmm.
went through the line once, swipe, and left fully paid. Not once.
Right.
In 4 years. Always something.
Yeah, it's always something. There's a few, like our bank, like I have repeat transactions. Like every month these transactions run. Our bank hates them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my poor Jim, like I just tell them keep running it until it goes through.
Pretty much. In some instances, it just is what it is.
Right.
But no, and we have seen more glitching since the storm went through. I know they've had to work kind of heavily to get caught up from that, as well as potentially having some issues with that.
Right.
Well, hey, Ashley, we always welcome audience interaction.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, it's just
right.
The limits are fun.
They are.
They always seem to hit you at the dumbest points. Like our bank's other thing, and it's part of their fraud system.
Right.
Is they like to keep you within a certain radius of your home area for your transactions. And pretty much it's kind of like the West Virginia area.
Right.
And they will freak if you have out of area transactions and don't call them first.
Right. Or transactions to say like Seattle, aka AEP, you need to like get an address.
Because it's out of area. They especially get really wonky and will cut off your card quickly. If you are and it happened to me, if you have like a series of transactions and one of them pops out of area and they're really close together, because what was happening with us was our local Big Lots. Oh dear God, I hated our local Big Lots for the longest time when I moved up here. Every time I went, before I could get home, my card had been deactivated and I had a phone call coming in from my bank wanting me to verify my last 3 transactions.
Yep.
And it's like, and it took me a while to get it. I was like, because what would end up happening was there was a particular day we were going, and like we were getting deposits in, and so we were, it's like go run to Walmart and pick up some stuff and pick up a week's worth of cigarettes and fill up the car with gas and get a car wash, and like I'm just doing a lot of activities that day.
Right.
And so my last stop, every time I stopped at Big Lots, it was always the last stop. And before I could get home, so meanwhile, I've got groceries in the car, I've got,
right.
And my phone's ringing.
Exactly.
And so what it came down to, when they set up the point of sale system, the POS, at this Big Lots, they didn't change or didn't properly set up the address information for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, you know, Fayetteville, West Virginia, Fayetteville, West Virginia, Fayetteville, West Virginia, somewhere in fucking Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Or wherever. Like, it was literally like the corporate address, and I think it's Arkansas.
Yeah.
No, that's Walmart. That's Walmart.
Yeah, that's Walmart.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever the corporate address of Big Lots is,
Mm-hmm.
whatever state and city and all of that, is what was, I believe we finally figured out, was set on that POS terminal.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would ding their scam system every single time and lock my card.
Right. And see, that's why when this occurred, I was like, how the hell are they doing this? This is not how this works. All right. So we may have identified why people are getting sick from McDonald's.
Oh. Well, I don't think that's a huge number of witches, Marks.
No.
All right, there we go. Let me get the right one up. So the Quarter Pounder is back at McDonald's without the one topping that may have caused the E. coli outbreak. Here's what consumers need to know about the return of the Quarter Pounder. It's going to be onions. It's going to be onions, because if it were the meat, there's no way it'd be bad.
Right.
So the Quarter Pounder is back on the menu at McDonald's. Last week, America's most popular fast food chain was the target of a food safety alert sent out by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which stated that the Quarter Pounders were potentially responsible for a multi-state E. coli outbreak. As Food and Wine previously reported, nearly 50 illnesses had been reported to the organization across 10 states, including 10 hospitalizations and 1 death connected to the outbreak. As of October 24th, that number grew to 75 illnesses in 13 states, with 2 customers developing hemolytic uremic syndrome, a serious condition that can cause kidney failure, according to the FDA. However, as of Sunday, the chain reintroduced the burgers to its nearly 900 restaurants affected by the outbreak, representing about 20% of all McDonald's restaurants in the U.S. They will, however, be served with one menu item missing: onions. So, quote from, from McDonald's, the issue appears to be contained to a particular ingredient and geography, and we remain very confident that any contaminated product related to this outbreak has been removed from our supply chain and is out of all McDonald's restaurants. Cesar Pina, the SVP Chief Supply Chain Officer, North America at McDonald's, shared in a statement posted to the company's website.
Yep. So you can't get onions at McDonald's anymore. Darn.
Well, for right now, it'll probably be a while.
Yeah.
Like,
they're going to find a new supplier.
Are they going to do a whole new supplier?
Yeah. I think they fired Taylor's Foods completely.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
This CO don't fuck around.
Oh, they have decided to stop sourcing onions from Taylor Farms' Colorado Springs facility indefinitely.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, and apparently additional food service providers and restaurant brands that received onions from this facility have moved to stop selling and or recall onions.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. It was the onions. Why? Because onions are the most absorbent antibiotic out there. All right, now let's move into the huge number of witches marks found at the Tudor house. It's astounding for the discovery.
The astonishing discovery.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the staggering array of witches marks have been discovered on the walls of a Tudor property in England. The carvings, which are formerly known as apotropic marks, were at the time believed to provide ritual protection against evil. News of the discovery, aptly timed to coincide with Halloween, was released by English Heritage, a charity that looks after hundreds of historic monuments, buildings, and sites. Gainsborough Old Hall is a manor house in the eastern county of Lincolnshire that was once visited by Henry VIII and his then queen, Catherine Howard, according to an English Heritage press release Tuesday. The markings were discovered by Rick Berry, an English Heritage volunteer who spent 2 years mapping around 20 carvings inside the grand building, according to the release. These include a staggering array of designs, according to English Heritage, though there's a notable concentration in the servants' wing of the hall. Among the marks found were simple circles that ordinarily would have been expected to have a six-petal design inside, known as a hexafoil, to trap demons. One theory is that the petals may have faded away or that drawing them would have been beyond the skills of the carver, an English Heritage spokesperson told CNN in an email. Also found were overlapping V's, known as Marian marks, as they're believed by some to be a call for protection from the Virgin Mary, and a pentacle that was used to protect against evil.
Yep.
Sorry, they have it, and it may just be a different English word that means the same thing.
Right.
So yeah. But wow. No, nice quote from Barry. I've been working as an English Heritage volunteer at Gainsborough for nearly 20 years, and I know this property extremely well. So I was astonished when I noticed a previously undocumented protection mark a couple of years ago. I decided to see if I could spot any more, and I just keep finding them. The last one was a small pentagram, and that was a few weeks ago. But who knows how many more there are still to find.
Ooh, a curse appears to have been put on the former owner, William Henchman, who owned the property in 1596. It was his name that was found written upside down, the release ads, and the marks were probably made around the time. The charity wrote, an X defacing someone's name is widely believed to mean to curse the person, though it is the practice more commonly associated with Roman and Anglo-Saxon period has never previously been found in English heritage property. You need to look closer. About 15 bum marks, which were to protect against fire, were also uncovered on the property. This is real witch history. Totally real witch history. Totally great to be finding this, because there's been a lot of disqualification of what is classified as Indo-European witch history. Of oh, well, that couldn't have been a thing. Oh, that's not a thing. Here it is. Here's the practices. Oh, the pentagram. Yeah, it's been used. We used it way before y'all did.
Absolutely. So yeah. But no, that's an interesting find. It's kind of one of those moments of like, even when a house is really old, historical, and well documented, it still holds surprises.
It does. And I find it interesting they're just now finding this. Like, my question is, did they find it and ignore it?
Okay, so you got a couple of questions here from Ashley.
Awesome.
So the one related to what we were just talking about is, what about leather magic ritual?
Leather magic works. Leather is a perfect binding agent. It's a perfect, like, if you're wanting to do not work with long-term protection work. Like, I would be very particular in the type of leather, because of course leather is made out of a few different hides. Example, if you're wanting prosperity and you're using leather, I'd buy rabbit leather. If you're wanting, just traditional, like you're wanting to bind or you're wanting to force something in your direction, use cow leather. Be careful, don't use horse leather. Horse leather can be like very taxing, and then you have to go into the deity principle. Example, deer leather, the Morrigan. That makes perfect sense. Cow leather, the Morrigan, does not make perfect sense.
So be aware.
Yeah, like take all your principles, your practices, all your, correspondences there that you can on any direction, and of course, fair source it. meaning you're not killing a rabbit just for the leather.
Absolutely. All right. So Ashley's other question, and this one I get an interesting response from you. So Ashley 12877, can you describe the perfect man for me?
Yes, I can. Here we go.
All right.
All right, so the perfect man for you is going to be very active, very passionate. He's going to have a busy schedule. Of course, we already know from previous readings, to clarify, that you like your bustle bears. He's also going to be one that is an adventurer, but he's adventuring for a reason. He's going to be breaking down emotional barriers. Also, can tend to be a worrywart or doesn't sleep well. Will have a lot of balanced approach and earth-based ideas. And will be very soft-hearted.
All right. Well, I hope that helps.
Yes. All right. And if you had a question, remember, put your birth date in there. If you had a question on the topic, just put the question for the topic. All right. So this was an interesting article. Why ghosts wear clothes or white sheets instead of just appearing nude?
Yeah, so when you think of a ghost, what comes to mind? A ghastly, moldy, winding sheet, a malevolent pile of supernatural armor, or a sinister gentleman in a stiff Victorian suit? In 1863, George Cruikshank, the caricaturist and illustrator of Dickens' novels, announced a discovery concerning the varied appearance of ghosts. It does not seem, he wrote, that anyone has ever thought of the gross absurdity and impossibility of there being such things as ghosts of wearing apparel. Ghosts cannot, must not, dare not, for decency's sake, appear without clothes. And as there can be no such thing as ghosts or spirits of clothes, why then it appears that ghosts never did appear and never can appear. So why aren't ghosts naked? This was a key philosophical question for Cruikshank and many others in Victorian Britain. Indeed, stories of naked or clothesless ghosts, especially outside folklore, are exceedingly rare. Skeptics and ghost seers alike have delighted in thinking about how exactly ghosts could have form and force in the material world. Just what kind of stuff could they be made of that allows them to share our plane of existence in all its mundanity? The image of the ghost as a figure in a white winding sheet or burial shroud has retained its iconic status for hundreds of years because it suggests a continuity between the corpse and the spirit. The main social role of the ghost before the modern period was to carry a message to the living from beyond the grave, so the link to burial clothing makes sense. This can be seen in the medieval trope of the three living and the three dead, whereby some hunters encounter their future skeletal corpses wrapped in linen, admonishing them to remember death. Yet by the mid-19th century, with spiritualism and early forms of psychological research, research spreading across the Western world, people began to report seeing ghosts dressed in everyday and contemporary clothing. This raised problems for those interested in investigating the reality of ghosts. If the ghost was an objective reality, why should it be wearing clothes? If the tenets of spiritualism were true, should the soul, which is returned to visit the earth, not be formed of light or some other form of ethereal substance? Were the clothes of spirits also spiritual? And if so, did they share in their essence, or were they the ghosts of clothes in their own right? You could adopt an idealist position and say that the clothes were metaphysical ideas bound up with the immortal identity of the wearer, the identity of the ghost meaning something more than simply the apparition of a soul force. Another explanation was that ghost seers dressed the ghost automatically through unconscious processes. And so we see a ghost in its usual dress because that is the mental picture we have of the person, and this choice of garment is most likely to inspire recognition. The critic and anthropologist Andrew Lang drew comparisons between dreaming and ghost seeing and 1897 when he stated that we do not see people naked as a rule in our dreams, and hallucinations, being waking dreams, conform to the same rule. If a ghost opens a door or lifts a curtain in our sight, that too is only part of the illusion. The door did not open, the curtain was not lifted. It was produced in the same way as when a hypnotized patient is told that his hand is burned, his fancy then begets real blisters. For laying the clothes of ghosts were the stuff that dreams are made of, the implication of this, that ghost seers are dressers, but not undressers, seems to reflect a pervading morality of ghosts, whereby most 19th century spirits were sanitized and chaste. Lang's odd assumption that there was no nakedness in dreams echoes this. So, yeah, I think we can, I believe, stop there.
I think we can. I think we can delve into that, though. Here's the reason ghosts are normally dressed. Because you have multiple... Okay, let's look at multiple forms of ghosts here. Poltergeists don't get dressed. They're monstrous, energy balled up. You know, they're oozing and goozing. They are not dressed because they are pure energy forms. Then we have repeaters. Repeaters is the space or the wall has retained the energy. It is not a logical, corporeal energy there. It's just the videotape replaying itself. The Grey Lady of Scotland, the Blue Lady, whatever. She does the same thing repetitively every night, every whatever. So she wasn't naked. She was in a gray outfit. She was in a blue outfit. It's a repetitive thing, but there's no consciousness there. You can't stop her and go, so what's your unfinished business here? Then you have your other, your spiritual trapped bodies in limbo. We don't bury our dead naked anymore. We've never buried our dead naked technically. We've always wrapped them in a shroud, dressed them for burial. They are going to hold on to that energy.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, I kind of end up with questions about how many spirits there would then be that are in ill-fitting clothing.
Right.
Because one of the oddball secrets I happen to know about morticians is that they don't often exactly dress as we would think of a body.
Right.
That in many instances the back gets cut out of garments, and while they look great, they're mostly just it's a front appearance that looks good, and the back is just tucked in.
Right.
So it doesn't even, in some instances, matter if the garment fits, as long as they can get it on them, and then they'll kind of tailor it. It's why it's the best you'll technically ever look in your life is unfortunately when you're dead, because you will have the most form-fitting clothing.
But the spirits in themselves, if they're trapped, that would only be a limbo spirit, meaning they missed their boss, they hid from they're hiding from the collectors. Some people call them the propalities. And they're going to be in clothes that they want to be in, that they were buried in, that they have an energy to.
Okay. Well, then here may also come part of the idea. So is that the same logic on why you would see the ghost of the cremated?
Yes.
In clothing?
Yes.
Because theoretically, in a lot of situations, there's no need to dress the deceased.
Right.
Before you...
what they do.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Transport. They can't transport a corpse naked.
I'm sorry. You can't transport a naked corpse.
Correct.
What in the Victorian hell created that law?
That law is actually created by the Funeral Association, and it's so they can charge you a dressing fee.
Ugh. You can't transport a naked corpse.
No. From your facility, because like they pick you up from here, you have to be dressed here to leave the house. Even in a hospital, like they pick you up from the hospital, it has to be in a hospital gown.
I mean, I would assume that it also, like, I would figure that would be kind of like the point of a body bag.
No.
Like, I'm sure they are not dressing someone who is murdered naked.
They're not going to do that until they get to the funeral facility.
Right, I understand that, but I'm sorry, I'm just wrapping my head around the idea that you cannot transport a naked corpse.
Right.
Like, I cannot believe that's real.
Yeah.
Like, what? Okay.
Because if it's a murder victim, they're going to be picked up at the morgue.
But they have to at some point be transported.
Right.
You're not going to, like, no police officer in this country is going to let you dress a murder victim.
Agreed, but you're not understanding the regs there.
Yeah, the eventual, yeah, okay, so you're talking about literal mortuary.
Yes.
Oh, God. No mortician can transport a naked corpse.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, this is just like some of the things that are stuck in there. And then you have visiting spirits. Visiting spirits dress in what they want. If they want to come back in to visit you in your dreams or to actually take form, they can appear up in their monochrome red and orange suit if they want to. Okay. So, yeah, technically there are no naked ghosts because ghosts get trapped into everything. So you should always wear good clothes.
I literally think I want to try to come back as a ghost just so I can be a nudist. The naked ghost. Like, y'all heard about the gray lady. Let's introduce you to the naked ghost.
The naked bear. That works.
Yep. And I think in my own, like, sense of, like, I'm dead. What are you going to do to me? I'm haunting a school. Just for the that is so effed up part of it.
Well, you're going to have to form a energy connection with a school.
That's fair. Well, now I'm never getting one. I just said what my plan was.
Yeah.
No school's going to volunteer for this.
Meaning, like, you're going to have to go be a teacher.
No. That's how I end up haunting a prison.
Yes.
Like, I will quote a student who called my office at one point. I'm ready to kill one of these little fuckers. That'll be me on day one, like hour one. Like, I have respect for teachers because I can already understand the BS y'all go through. I have self-selected. I cannot be a teacher. Like, it will result in a felony.
Yeah.
Especially if I've got like 35 of them.
Right. Or more. Yeah, no. Felonies will occur.
Right. Plural felonies.
Right. And it's just like weird.
Can I be a janitor? A night janitor? Could I do that? Can I get hired as a night janitor of a school?
Yes. But again, you have to form an energy connection with it.
Okay. I'd be a night janitor. I think I could manage.
This is kind of a jump. And there's no good translation to it at all. Hi, Sherry. How are you, honey?
Hey, Sherry and Ashley. You're very welcome.
Yes. All right. So I got interested in this case. I didn't watch the full trial because I just didn't have the mental power for it.
Okay.
But Sarah Boone was found guilty on second-degree murder after leaving her boyfriend dead in a zipped suitcase.
Well, to die. in a zipped suitcase.
Right.
Like, key distinction is, I'm assuming from the title and the specific wording, he was not dead
When he
and
went
put in a suitcase.
Right.
He was put in a suitcase and then died in it.
Right.
Okay.
Like, this case is so bad. So bad. And it has been Victorian washed so bad.
Okay. So after deliberation on Friday, come on, stop with the get the local breaking alerts. I'm not interested. I'm not from your area.
Right.
After deliberation on Friday, an Orange County jury found Sarah Boone guilty of second-degree murder in the death of her boyfriend, Jorge Torres Jr. Torres Jr. died from suffocation in February 2020 after a medical examiner says he spent about 11 hours inside a small suitcase Boone zipped him in. The couple had spent the day drinking before Torres Jr. willingly and playfully got into the suitcase before bed, Boone testified on Tuesday. Boone trapped him inside, and Torres Jr. was dead by the next morning. Boone's nearly 5-hour testimony was a long-awaited moment in the suitcase murder trial, which had been delayed numerous times before jury selection finally began on October 14. Boone was frequently at odds with her lawyers. Many of them stepped down or were forced out by the woman herself. After Boone represented herself for a short period of time, attorney James Owens took over the case, becoming the 9th person to do so. Throughout the 2-week trial, Owens and the defense maintained that Boone suffers from battered spouse syndrome, which caused her to leave Torres Jr. zipped inside the suitcase because she feared he would kill her if she let him out. During the initial investigation, Boone told officials she had fallen asleep and forgot to free the man from the luggage. However, detectives say they uncovered videos on Boone's phone of the woman mocking Torres Jr. as he begged for help, which was inconsistent with the statement she gave. According to an arrest affidavit, Boone can be heard on video saying things like, "This is for everything you've done to me." Expletive, you, stupid. When Torres said he couldn't breathe, Boone replied, "That's on you." "Oh, that's what I feel like when you choke on me," the defendant said. The affidavit says. The state maintained that Boone was not in imminent danger when she refused to let Torres out of the suitcase. In her testimony, Boone said she was terrified and said she thought talking to him while he was in the suitcase would be helpful. "I wanted him to try to understand how I felt, so maybe he could progress and be a better person," Boone said, after a prosecutor asked why she didn't unzip the suitcase after Torres Jr. said he couldn't breathe. According to the state, Boone killed Torres Jr. not because he was threatening her life at that moment, but because she felt he deserved to die for his past actions, including allegedly hitting her with a curtain rod. "There are two sides to every story," Owen said, maintaining throughout the trial that the abuse Boone suffered triggered her actions that night. So,
see, this is not how I read this case. This is not how I see this case. This case is so different from what I'm seeing and reading between the lines. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So here's the perceptive of this case. They were BDSM playing recklessly.
Oh, wow.
But drinking recklessly. Because of the things she says, the things she replies back to, and she was just going to leave him there for a little while she goes and chills out on in the bed, but she fell asleep and fucked up.
Yeah. Well, but then there's the whole reality that, like, they have video of her mocking him.
Yes.
And like how, like, and I think it would play a part is if you're talking about a bunch of video all at once, then you could argue potentially, maybe not necessarily successfully, but potentially and reasonably, that like if he got zipped into the suitcase, she zipped him in, whatever, and then immediately she did like 3 videos and then continued drinking and passed out. Okay, her story sounds more plausible.
Right.
But if you're looking at the timestamps on those videos, which is what I kind of take from this, they did, and they're like, okay, you zipped him in. Yeah. You thought it was hilarious and took a video. Then you left this situation alone or continued talking to him, whatever. Then you did another video. And then, and like you just eroded your whole story. You didn't just fall asleep. Right. And you already knew. Right. He was having trouble breathing.
Right. But what I'm saying is they looked at these videos. They didn't look at any other evidence of her, any evidence of this relationship. They looked at her mocking him and humiliating him and degrading him. And then her legal team, instead of going, yep, we fucked up, we need a deal. This, was a BDSM situation that got out of control. They tried to, what I call, whitewash it. Oh, it was a mistake. They were just playing around, playing hide and seek. And I'm like, where's the hide and seek?
Yeah, no, she knew where he was. It's not hide and seek.
Exactly.
That's a little hard to process as well. I struggle with calling it BDSM gone wrong as well. Because that, like, especially if they're going to try to argue abuse.
Right. Well, that's where I think they fucked up.
Well, I mean, like, hear me out for a second. Okay. That, like, if you're going to try to claim that this is BDSM and that he's abusive, then wouldn't she be more likely to be the one in the suitcase, not him?
I'm saying, this is why I'm saying they weren't doing it properly, because it sounds like, to me, from what I have looked at this case and looked at her statements and looked at the videos, which we are not playing, to me, I'm sitting back here going, oh God, someone watched 50 Shades of Grey and read the book and got lost in mixing it up.
I struggled to follow that one.
Right.
Like, I think even if you tried to explain that to me or to a jury, you'd have to do a lot of work.
Right.
To help me follow how the abuser ends up willingly getting into a suitcase.
Well, she filmed him getting into the suitcase.
Right.
Willingly getting into the suitcase. Playfully getting into the suitcase.
Well, back to my actual point, which is that I would really struggle with the idea that the abuser during a BDSM scenario is the one who gets into the suitcase, because I don't really understand. I find it exceedingly rare, or from my knowledge, exceedingly rare. That, like, aren't most abusers, or like not most, all abusers in a BDSM scenario dominant, not submissive?
Well, most abusers are not into a BDSM situation.
Well, fundamentally, no, what they're doing isn't BDSM. It's abuse with a label.
Right.
Oh, it's BDSM. No, it's not. It's fucking abuse. I get that part. Okay. I'm just saying that typically when you're, like, anytime we're talking about this, it's not the abuser that's submissive. It's the abuser that's going to dominate.
Right.
And use BDSM as a label to justify their abuse.
Right.
Because it's not abuse, it's play.
Right. Exactly.
My whole point being, at no point would the abuser, be getting into a suitcase.
Right.
So it's like I'm really struggling with that. Because so that means that not only was this whole, we were just playing around,
Mm-hmm.
And we were drunk, which, I mean, I'm sure there's evidence for they were drinking heavily.
Right.
But, we were drunk and playing around.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a BDSM thing. Why take the abuser route? Like, I can't see
Right.
a lawyer in this world recommending this defense strategy because everyone's backwards.
Exactly. And see, that was the problem. And what I mean by it is it's the problem with the whole situation.
Yeah.
Is
So he's not abusive. She's not an abuse victim. It's just BDSM play that went totally weird.
Mm-hmm.
And like weird drunken ideas, and I don't know where the gratification's supposed to be in this.
Right.
Unless the I can't breathe is some form of breath control, and then we've gone down a road with that.
Exactly.
Like, as in that, like, if you're starting with breath control and a suitcase,
right,
you've taken a wrong turn many, many miles back.
Right.
Like, I don't know how you got here.
If you pay attention to her original statement given to police,
mm-hmm.
This was a game of hide and seek that she fell asleep on. You look at the video.
Yeah.
Okay. The video could go on Pornhub.
Okay.
Like, the degrading's there. All of it's there to like hit 50 categories of Pornhub.
Oh, okay. But this is at the point where supposedly, like, but she's filmed him getting in the suitcase. So how is this hide and seek?
Right.
Is where I'm stuck at. Like,
because I think she was trying to not be honest about what was going on. I think about in the first place, she gave this bullshit story with like.
So you're thinking like there's an OnlyFans account, there's a Pornhub account, there's
something. There should have been more videos, and I believe that
many videos before
that there were videos of him being the abuser. Also, as they're labeling it.
Well, abuser in this instance, as in you're saying this is a role play.
Right.
And I want to be clear and distinct on that, is that we're talking about the idea of abuse, and I put that in air quotes, as a role play. So we're talking about a rough sex kink.
Right.
Not like throwing off on people who say they're abused and were victims of abuse. Like, let's be clear.
Right. And I think she totally fucked up. I think they were both very fucked up. And I think that when this became a murder trial and you start introducing attorneys, they're all going, this isn't going to sell. This isn't going to sell at all. No jury is going to believe this. So let's go.
I already lost it. Orange County, Florida? You don't think home of Florida man. Like Orange County, not really an unpopulated place where you're dealing with country bumpkins.
Right.
Like these are going to be people that like our morning newspaper is frightening.
Right.
If you were talking about like, well, we were in, Bible Belt, Kentucky in, a county of 9,000. I think
you would probably fly more than Orange County. Point blank. I think this is also why she went through 9 attorneys, including representing herself. And even the lawyer on her case coming out of court flat out said, at her sentencing is my last appearance with her.
Yeah. I struggle there. I would think that if that is what is going on, I would think you could sell that to a jury in Orange County, Florida, without a problem. Like home of Florida man, like
Republican Central.
Republicans are always kinkier.
I know. I get that. I
I'm just
understand that.
saying.
But I'm like, this case is full of bullshit. Her side is full of bullshit. His side is full of, like, I had to turn off Emily Duaker, and I was like, I will just take the hot take of the shorts
Mm-hmm.
with her commentary in it, because I listen and I'm like, asked her these questions, and I'm like, asked these questions.
I know, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, this is a screwed up case.
It is. It was a screwed up case to begin with. It's a screwed up case all the way
Just-
through, like layer upon layer upon layer. And I'm going, get into real justice, please. Ask real questions.
Like, somehow I feel like this is a much simpler case. Like, you're going one direction with it.
Right.
I think it's probably a much simpler case that no one knew how the hell we're gonna get out of this.
Right.
And I think it's point blank. They both got plastered.
Right.
And he thought it'd be fucking hilarious
Right.
to fold himself up in a suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she thought it was hilarious.
Right.
And she kept filming and egging it on and egging it on and egging it on.
Right.
Not realizing the danger he was in.
Right.
Perhaps taking it, as being funny or entertaining, or that he was making comments just to egg it on.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, probably kept drinking and passed out.
Right.
And it's stupid, senseless, unreasonable death, but
right.
Death by misadventure, I would be like, if that's the story you told me,
Right.
I'd probably go not guilty. Like, straight line, that's the story you tell me, even with past abuse, even with blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can sell that story to a jury.
Right.
Like, it's the dumbest death possible.
Right.
And I think that's probably where this one lies. For
Right.
at least I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we could sell a jury on that and she wouldn't be going to prison.
Right.
So why? And especially February of 2020?
Right.
Oh, the world at that point, I think we're already starting to get a little stir crazy then.
Mm-hmm.
Like, off season in Florida. Ooh.
Right.
Ooh.
She even drew up a wanted ad,
Mm-hmm.
help wanted ad for her attorney. Qualifications must include being trustworthy, honest, passionately driven, open-minded, excellent problem-solving skills, client inclusion at all times, team-oriented, calibrations, excellent efforts in listening, communicating, understanding, dedicated to success, passionate with a winning mindset, capable of exercising in representation, committed, maintaining faith in the client and cause, with the ability to think differently, overcoming all circumstances.
I mean, you wanted Matlock?
Basically.
Like, did you forget to put a little southern twang on him?
Well, it is Florida, honey. I think that comes unexpected.
It falls off the peach tree. Or off the orange tree. Sorry.
Yeah. This case was bullshit. All right, guys, let's take our commercial break. When we come back, we'll come back with Are You an Asshole?
Yes.
Oh, hold still a moment, though. Before
no. Dun, dun, dun.
Are you fucking nuts? This is my show. I pay the barista pays me and I pay the bills. This bullshit is bullshit. Do not post it on my show. Goodbye, you're blocked.
There you go. All right. So with that,
we're off to break, y'all.
Yes.
Love diving into metaphysical topics, psychic insights, and lively discussions? Now you can help keep the conversation going. By becoming a Patreon supporter of The Psychic Coffee Shop, you'll gain access to exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and special perks just for our patrons. Join our community and ensure that your favorite psychic show continues to thrive. Your support helps us bring more enlightening episodes, special guests, and deep dives into the world of the unseen. Become a patron today and enjoy a cup of wisdom with us every week. Click the link to join the baristas and unlock exclusive content. Thank you for your support.
Unlock your full potential with Aeson Knight's life coaching. Are you ready to take control of your life and manifest the future you deserve? Aeson Knight, a seasoned life coach and master psychic, is here to guide you on a transformative journey. Whether you're navigating personal challenges, career transitions, or seeking spiritual growth, Aeson's life coaching services offer tailored guidance to help you achieve your goals. With Aeson by your side, you'll discover the tools to overcome obstacles, embrace your true self, and create a life filled with purpose and fulfillment. His unique blend of spiritual insight and practical coaching empowers you to turn your dreams into reality. Ready to make a change? Book your session today and start your journey to a more empowered, balanced, and joyful life with Aeson Knight. Click the link to schedule your first session and step into your power.
Are you ready for an electrifying podcast experience that keeps you coming back for more? Join Aeson Knight every week as he takes you on a journey through captivating shows, each exploring unique and fascinating topics. And here's the best part. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode where you can get your burning questions answered live on air, absolutely free. Whether it's relationship advice, career guidance, or mystical insights, Aeson's podcasts have got you covered. When you subscribe, you become part of a vibrant community, engaging directly with Aeson as he shares his wisdom and leaves you feeling empowered and enlightened. Don't miss out. Subscribe now and be part of the conversation. What you'll get by subscribing: Monday 5 p.m. Metaphysics. Today, soulful conversations with Aeson Knight and Firefly, exploring the essence of metaphysics in today's world. Tuesday 8 p.m. The Psychic Coffee Shop. Dive into current events with a psychic twist, featuring special guests and thought-provoking discussions. Friday 9 p.m. The Mountain Bears Podcast. Lively discussions from a gayish, techie-ish, bearish perspective with Aeson and Joe. Sunday 5 p.m., Psychic That Plans. Get a weekly tarot energy overview and time management tips from Aeson Knight. Click here to subscribe now and never miss an episode. By subscribing, you're not just tuning in, you're joining a community of curious minds and ensuring you're always in the loop with Aeson's insightful and interactive shows. Don't wait. Hit that subscribe button and get ready for an amazing podcast journey.
Ready for an enchanting journey of self-discovery? Join Lord Aeson Knight in our Wicca courses. Unveil the secrets of Wicca, explore deity relationships, rituals, and more. As a third-degree high priest, Aeson Knight guides you toward empowerment and enlightenment. Enroll today and take your first step into the magical circle. Click the link to begin your journey.
Psychic Saturday. Get 50% off with Aeson Knight every third Saturday of the month. Don't miss out. Book now.
All right, welcome back. So we're going to take a ride before we go into Are You the Asshole, because I'm pissed.
Oh, dear.
Let's call this segment Spot a Scammer.
All right.
All right, so yes, we're over on my profile, and we decided to look up our lovely scammer here, who's at 105 likes and 134 followers. I wonder how many of them are bots. She is supposedly in Houston, Texas. Money spells opportunities for chance. New week's up. Send DMs for your financial blessings. Psychic Albert's voodoo, witchcraft spell, and readings. This is bullshit, guys. Like, she's even stole these fucking graphics.
Oh, yeah.
Child support and custody. Like, we're going to be reporting her as a scammer, shall we? So when you come upon these people, go over here and hit report page. Hitting and promoting restricted items. Or you can
Well,
go
technically, scam, fraud, or impersonation.
yes, fraud or scam. Submit. Next. Blocked, hidden, and submitted to Facebook for review.
Yeah.
Please do that.
Oh, yeah.
Get them. This is the way you stop these people from coming in. And if anyone DMs you, please also report them. Actual psychics do not DM you for a reading. You book them to them.
Yes.
All right. So I'm off my broomstick for the moment. Let's find out if you're an asshole.
All right. Actually, this was a fun ride to get to Am I the Asshole this evening. This is now my third choice.
Okay.
My second choice was taken down before I realized it.
You're going to have to start screenshotting those.
Well, no, I backed out to the list, and it had the opening paragraph, and then when I actually clicked into it after I said point, I realized it had already been taken down. All right, would I be the asshole for complaining to my roommate about him leaving trash at my desk when my desk is already messy? I share a house with my roommate, but we each have our own office areas. His is attached to his room, but mine is downstairs attached to the living room. As two early 20s men, we can be messy. Our work schedules are different, so sometimes he's home when I'm at work. The other night, I got home from work and saw a bottle and a chip bag sitting at my desk that weren't mine. I made a comment about it, and he said, yeah, I meant to clean that up, but what's one more bottle compared to all the others? And gestured to a couple empty Coke bottles I left at my desk. Is it wrong for me to think there's a difference between me leaving a mess in my own space versus him leaving one in mine? Am I being hypocritical? Hypocritical. As an aside, I don't really mind him sitting at my desk. I keep my computer turned off when I'm not home, and it seems like he just likes sitting in my desk chair and scrolling on his phone.
Oh, that's the boundary problem.
I'm kind of with you there. I think if you'd set the boundary or set a reasonable boundary that, like, I know it's attached to the living room and it's easily accessible, but my office is my office is my office. So we're going to treat it like it has a door.
Right.
Probably would have saved you some issues here.
Yes.
Now, that said, even the fact that, you don't really mind him sitting in your desk and scrolling his phone, which or sitting in your chair and scrolling his phone, the fundamental issue being that, like, your mess is your mess that you create in your space. His mess is not your mess that he creates in your space. So the fact that you didn't have the boundary still doesn't, make the behavior acceptable.
Right.
Which is kind of the key part of this, is that I don't care, and you're allowed to, that your desk is already messy.
Right.
It doesn't make it acceptable to add.
Right.
It's not your desk.
Exactly.
Now, there's sometimes a little bit of a mixed concept here. Because some people with messy cars really don't care.
Right.
If whatever you do in the car, it doesn't matter. Like, you know, they don't care if you like leave trash or whatever. You're still allowed to care, even if it's your own messy car.
Right.
And most people are well aware, if they want to claim the cleaning moral high ground, that you don't leave messes for others. That's a you thing.
Right.
So like it goes in the same line of like people who take off their shoes at your front door, even though your house is a wreck.
Right.
It's still respectful.
Exactly. And you know, we've not this time. This time
I'm going with not the asshole.
I'm going with not the asshole too. But we had this issue. And it really wasn't your fault or my fault.
Okay.
When we shared the deck in Princeton, I wasn't there half the week. I'd come in, there's stuff on my desk. Not my stuff.
Well, because I was also working out there too. We were technically sharing a desk. That's a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we were sharing, it was very different. And, you know, all it took was me saying, can you get that cleaned up before I get here on Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't have to be a difficult conversation. I don't know why his roommate had to be an ass.
Right.
Which is fundamentally, I think, where this is all at.
Right. Now, my problem is him sitting in his desk chair, scrolling his phone. Like, that's where my issue would be at.
I think in terms of a chair, as long as you're not like making a mess, knocking stuff over, like, you know, doing anything that's rude or disrespectful to the space, that part I wouldn't really mind as much. Like, I'd give permission on that one. Like, I if you wanted to go that far, I would be like, you know, if you want to sit in the chair, that's fine. I don't care.
Right.
Like, if I'm not here, you know.
Right.
Knock yourself out sitting in the chair.
Right. My other suggestion is make that space that's attached to the living room as far as independently as possible. Put in some bookshelves, like block that space off.
Like, in closing.
Yep. So the poll is up on Aeson Knight's YouTube. The link is in the chat if you're not watching over there. Yes, we do simul stream, which means we're on multiple channels. Now let's hop over to the psychic Reddit comment question.
Yes. Are there therapists, psychologists that believe in our abilities? So I once went to a therapist as I was feeling depressed about a few different things that happened to me over a certain amount of time. Saw her for a few months and felt better and don't need to go back, yet wouldn't choose her again. It is because I talked to her about my abilities and all confirmations I've had from clients and just people I help free, as I don't always charge. Anyhow, she made me feel uncomfortable to share things with her that were psychic related. Have you ever met a therapist that actually believed in this stuff? Would really help when someone is feeling down but has real proven abilities, not to feel judged by the person who is supposed to be helping.
I have. Actually, there's a number of psychics that are therapists by day, psychic by night. It's a vetting process. Now, if you're doing this at a certain level, you have to go above your normal run-of-the-mill therapist. You need to go to a therapist that sees therapists.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, like, it's really a screening process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even some of the commenters are like, yep, I'm a therapist. Yep, I'm a therapist. Yep, I'm a psychologist.
Like, you got bad luck at the draw.
Yeah.
Like,
but I thought you could take a moment and talk about finding therapists that fit you.
I think that's part of the unfortunate realities of therapy for anyone.
Right.
Is that regardless of what your life situation is or what's going on in it, the first time out of the gate is like throwing a dart at a dartboard, blindfolded. You don't know what you need until you effectively do it once and find out exactly what you don't need. Or start to realize over time that this isn't working. This is a little problematic. So the harsh realities are, it really is, or can be, a very like hand in glove fit kind of moment. Is it's very specific, it's very unique, it's very, and sometimes the same therapist for two people can be two totally different people.
Right.
Sometimes your therapist doesn't like you either.
Right.
Point blank. They don't know what the hell your problem is, but they don't want to hear about it.
Right.
Like, and it can be that simple. Not saying that's what happened here. But some personalities just clash. It doesn't matter.
Right.
What, you're into or you're doing or what your career is or whatever. Two psychics could go to the same therapist, and the therapist be perfectly fine with one and absolutely dread the other. And perhaps professionally, but still somewhat inappropriately, start kind of giving that off.
Right.
Which, one of the key giveaways for your therapist doesn't like you can often be that they get very aggressive.
Right.
And it's one of those things. Sometimes they don't even necessarily recognize they're doing it.
Right.
And sometimes you'll watch them catch themselves. Like, that was aggressive. Like you hear the words come out of their mouth and you instantly see the recognition. Like, oh, that was unprofessional. I shouldn't have done that.
Right.
Shouldn't have said that. Like, okay, we're just gonna ride this one.
Right.
Like you see them kind of tense up. Like, I can't believe that just flew out of my mouth.
Right.
And you have to gauge it by what they said.
Right.
And whether it feels calculated.
Right.
Because sometimes, and this is on the total opposite end of the spectrum.
Right.
Sometimes you can have a therapist that actually really likes you, and they bend professionalism a little.
Right.
Like, to no other client would they have said the following, but after a lot of sessions with you, they figured you'd appreciate it. And so they kind of say the thing, and then you're like, oh, I can't believe you just said that. And it's like, I know. And they have fun with it. So you kind of have to gauge by, like, where are they after? Are they like, ooh, shouldn't have said that, shouldn't have said that, shouldn't have said that, shouldn't have said that, shouldn't have said that. Oh, get me out of this session.
Right.
Or are they like,
right,
you're fine, you can deal with it.
Right.
Because it's kind of a bonding moment. Or in the case of they seem really just uncomfortable, that's your unbonding moment. That's when they know, even if it was unintentional, what they said should have been an internal thought, not an external statement.
Right.
And it does happen. Like, they're trained to be very professional in many, many circumstances. The unfortunate reality is, as good as they are at it, everyone breaks.
Right.
Everyone has a slip of the tongue and just, they have a bad day, it flies out. Like, they're not infallible.
They're not. And the reason I say if you are at a professional level serving as a psychic, you need to go to a therapist that sees therapists, because we know that they will be able to call bullshit.
Yeah. Well, and more importantly, see through some of the masking.
Right.
That is professionalism. That's,
right.
But I will say, even for psychics, it happens.
Right.
Like, like, quite frankly, in what I've experienced in terms of different events and everything, is every once in a while, even the most like calm, chill, just not Aeson.
Not me. Yeah.
But no, the most calm, chill, peace, love, and light. A client can hit them the wrong way, and it's like, get the fuck away from me.
Right.
And that calm, chill, whatever is gone.
Right.
And like professionalism's out the window. You're not my client. I'm not being professional with you. Get the fuck out.
Right.
Like, how desperately do I need your money? Oh, I don't. Like,
Right.
there's,
Right.
I've seen it happen, and it's
Right.
It can be really alarming when it's someone who's just always so level and just like they're a very zen personality. Have that switch flip. Then it's like, nope. This is bad. Get out. I'm done. Get away from me. Don't know what's wrong with you, but I want no part of it.
But no, there's also like psychics that will see other psychics, and there's some psychics like, nope, you read, I ain't reading you.
That's true too. That's a pretty common thing. But you can see that in psychology as well, as like, I'm not fighting through this headache. Because this is just going to be a round and round and round. We're just going to beat each other up.
Right.
With like the tools of our toolkit.
Right.
So like, no, let me go deal with the normies. Like, right. I'm gotta get
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a unique experience there. In both professions.
It is. And we interlink so much.
Yeah. And none of this is to be confused for you as a client necessarily acted inappropriately.
Right.
Now, I will tell you, there is no psychic I have ever met, not a one, that will put up with your shit. Like, don't hit on your psychic. Don't hit on your psychic. Do not say inappropriate sexual things about your psychic to your psychic. The same, in case you were impressed to know, will always apply to your psychiatrist or your therapist. Like, that's across the board. That's already, most people, I think, get that one for psychiatrists.
Right.
I find it interesting. Some people really struggle on their psychic and maintaining like their client side professionalism. Because I will say every psychic that I've ever seen has already dealt with this, and they will give you some corrective guidance. The first couple of times you say something that's borderline.
Right.
And after that, you will see all of them be like, you're done. You're done.
Right.
Like, I'm not a whore. Please stop.
Right. And the number of times I've had to check clients.
Okay.
Weirdly, I don't have the problem with guys. I have the problem with women that I have to check them and go, see that one over there? That one's mine.
Like, there's nothing you're going to do here that's going to get you a discount or a free reading, so put them away.
Exactly.
Like, I don't need to see your cleavage.
Yeah. Even if we are at a Ren fair, your fire tits aren't going to impress me.
Yeah.
The only thing I want to ask is, so who's your tattoo artist?
Yeah. Just saying. Just putting it out there.
Mm-hmm.
But no. It like, and there's some things you guys will overlook because
Mm-hmm. Right.
that it gets done. That some of it is like just manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's flirting. It's not necessarily inappropriate
Mm-hmm.
per se.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even worth correcting. It's like someone's inbuilt, like, this is how I navigate the world, is I flirt with everyone.
Right.
Okay, we deal with that.
Yeah. And there's a different energy. Like, there's a different energy when it is like casual flirt that occurs naturally. Hello, everybody. It occurs naturally. Versus,
and you've confused what you've paid for.
Well, right. And I think that sometimes, especially when I'm out of the South and it's like, hi, darling, how are you? It gives them a weird signal. And it's like, no, honey, this is how I talk.
So you're going to have to attenuate your settings.
Yes.
Like.
All right. So let's check and see what our poll is. Oof. Of course, we knew this would be a grand slam, and it is a grand slam. No, you are not the asshole this week for telling your roommate to pick up his own trash off your desk.
Hey, not the asshole. Good deal. I don't know. Every once in a while, you might hit a neat freak who's like, nah, if it's already messy, it's already a trash can. Why would I clean?
Yeah, that's when it's like, dude, your rent just went up $300.
You know?
Yes. All right. So let's pop it over.
Yeah, so of course we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Brenda, Joan Owen, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Caitlin Bell, Devin, Bella, and Maria Meyer. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Yes. And also, remember, I will be going live on TikTok tomorrow night at 8:30. And I've got most of the day off, but you can book appointments when available. And with that, good night,
we are perfectly on time.
Exactly. Alexa, stop.